Hello, guys. I'm your host, Juwan the Don, and this is the Wrestling Matters podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing some great news, and that's college athletes getting paid. We're also going to go into some transfers and some commits, and then we're going to talk about some of the seating situations for the USA wrestlers in freestyle wrestling at the Olympic Games. All right, with no further ado, let's get right into it. The NIL for the NCAA, they passed a law that's going to allow college athletes to get paid. And the elite wrestlers did not waste any time. This is great news for our sport because for a lot of people, there aren't a lot of avenues to make money in the sport of wrestling. Past college, even though you're not making anything in college, but now these guys can make money in college, while some of them, that's going to be their prime of athleticism or clout or image and likeness. Now they can sign sponsorship deals and sell merch and gear while at college. So this is a great day for the sport, specifically wrestling, and for all NCAA athletes. These guys put in a lot of work to uphold an image and build a character and excel as athletes, and it's great for them to get a chance to reap the benefits of that. So I'm not going to rant too much on it. Let's get right into some guys who have already signed some deals here on the first day of college athletes being able to get paid. So RBY, Roman Bravo Young, 133-pound national champion from Penn State University, is signing to Barstool Sports. And to kick off his freedom to make money, he's doing a raffle of his own shoes, his own favorite pair of wrestling shoes that say RBY on them, at $10 a ticket to kick things off. 5 for 50, 10 for 1. And he's going to draw a winner, I believe, on the 4th of July this weekend, and give those shoes out to the winner of that raffle. And he signed to Barstool Sports, BT Sport. I don't know what all that entails, but as far as his deal with there, but he's got a sponsorship deal. He's got some money coming in. That's shout out to RBY. He's verified on Instagram. He trains with UFC fighters, Dominic Cruz, Aljamain Sterling, so he deserves it. And this is a great day for guys like him, to get what they deserve. An opportunity to be compensated for their time and acknowledgement. So the second guy we're going to cover today who signed a deal is AJ Ferrari. That is the true freshman national champion from Oklahoma State. AJ Ferrari showed great personality and helped the ratings for wrestling at the NCAA championships. He had some awesome interviews, and it seems pretty genuine. This guy is he's a spark plug. He's gonna be fiery for television and for combat sports as long as he's around. So he signs to Near Fall Clothing, and they've already have his merch ready. As soon as midnight struck and the floodgates opened, Ferrari already had merch designed through Near Fall Clothing. But it's as if they both saw this day coming, because he's been pretty much decked out in Near Fall Clothing for a while now. So if there was anyone that they were going to sign, I figured it would be him. But it's cool that they got that going on, and hopefully he can start making some money, and we can grow these brands and that make gear and merch for the sport. So that's definitely awesome for him. And that's AJ Ferrari. You guys can check out that merch, 665 deadlift baby. Check him out. The next athlete we're going to go over is Gable Stevenson. He signs a deal with GoPuff, which is a delivery service, and sources say he is one of the most marketable athletes across the Big Ten in all sports, as he already has 300,000 followers on Instagram, 30,000 on Twitter, and he will be marketed all over NBC and this summer as he wrestles heavyweight to represent the United States at the Olympic Games. So Gable Stevenson, go get your money. Now, technically, he could come back and wrestle another year in college. A lot of people said It's too much money that he would pass up on for him to come back another year. But now he can technically receive money and still wrestle for Minnesota next year. So this is exciting news. Exciting, very positive things for the sport of wrestling. You know, a step in the right direction. So I'll clap it up for the NCAA, and I'll clap it up for the wrestling community to supporting these guys and building the culture up to where we can be more rewarding to our guys, you know, because we put a lot of hard work in. You know, it's time to display that and get guys sponsorships and commercials and TV time. So that's awesome. Next today, we're going to talk about, sucks to go from such a happy note to a darker note, but something more somber. But we need to talk about saving Fresno State wrestling and the importance of it. Okay, when I say save Fresno State wrestling, I won't say that. Based on what I've learned, and as I've learned the importance of the program, it needs to be saved. And it's not just because, oh, we saved Stanford and we said keep Stanford wrestling, so we need to keep Fresno State. No, there's a lot that goes into this that we need to look into. There's a couple talking points. You can do your own research, but I'll say a couple things of note is I think they're canceling the Fresno State wrestling program. And part of the importance is the area, and the Fresno State Valley area is a hotbed for wrestling. They have a big wrestling culture there, and they produce a lot of great athletes. And a lot of their wrestlers wrestle at Fresno State, and that's the next thing, is that 90% of their roster is California kids, predominantly from the Fresno State area. So it's very important for those local kids to be able to stay home or near home and wrestle. And California is a big wrestling state, so it doesn't make sense to get rid of that program. Also, the Hispanic heritage and the amount of Hispanic wrestlers in that community and area that feed into that program, the history of that program, is very important, and it just doesn't make sense for it to be taken away. That culture there doesn't need to be hit. For example, in comparison to Stanford wrestling was saved, but Stanford was a program that we already knew had enough money, and we knew that any kid that wanted to go to Stanford or that was going to Stanford could probably go to any college he wants. Versus at Fresno State, it's not necessarily the same. Some of these kids are going there because it's a D1 program near them, and it's a state school, and they can get some aid, and it just makes sense for them. You get rid of that, you know, it's going to take hope from some kids. It's going to take hope from some kids, so that's not acceptable. This community is very strong once we put our minds together towards something, and even when we open our minds towards something. Because there's a lot of people said, oh, wrestlers aren't going to get paid. They're not going to pay college athletes. Okay, well, now they are. So a lot of people said they wouldn't save Stanford wrestling. Well, they did. So there should be no doubt, you know, the wrestling community can do anything. And now we need to point our efforts towards saving Stanford wrestling. They can't lie and say that they don't have the funding. Fresno State University received a grant for over between $50 to $60 million. They have a serious fan. They have a serious fan core. They have some of the most packed duels in the country. They actually sell plenty of tickets and fill out a crowd for a duel, which isn't very common. Isn't very common in wrestling. It's not marketed or sold to be that way. But they have local loyal fans that go there to watch wrestling, and a lot of the young wrestlers in the area go there to watch those duels. So it's not right. We need to say that they have a history of wrestling in the area, and I don't know exactly what the next step is, but I'm definitely gonna look into it because I feel like Fresno State is an important program that we need to keep around for those kids in California and for kids anywhere. We need to have more programs available. Doesn't make sense for us to get rid of them. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about, unseeded at the Olympics, toughest route to gold. Okay, guys, we only have one guy on our Olympic team in freestyle that's seeded. And that's Kyle Snyder, the Olympic gold medalist. He has a 2 seed. So I'm going to go over who has the toughest route to gold. And since we're all unseeded other than Kyle Snyder, it's going to be tough regardless. And it's the Olympics. There's nothing sweet about it. It's going to be tough to win it all anyways. But the 2 guys that I think have the toughest route to gold is, first I'll say Kyle Dake, 74 kilograms. With world champions Frank Chamizo and Zorbek Sidakov, seated on opposite sides of the brackets. Regardless of where Dake draws into, he's going to have to more than likely beat them both in order to be Olympic gold medalist. So, he's definitely capable of doing it, as he's shown that, because he's a world champion up at 79. He's beaten Chamizo on criteria. He's beaten Burroughs. So it's definitely doable, but it's going to be tough to beat Sidakov and Chamizo to pull it off. I think Dake definitely can, but it's definitely a tough route to gold for Dake. Who else I would say have a tough route to gold would be Gable Stevenson at 125 kilograms heavyweight. With Taha Agul, world champion, multiple-time world champion, and Gino Petrashvili, multiple-time world champion. With them being oppositely seated, wherever Gable draws into the bracket, he's probably going to have to beat both of them. And these guys have been wrestling each other in the World Championship finals for the last 7 years. So Gable's going to have to pull an upset to break that precedented final, and then he's going to have to pull an upset to bring back the Olympic gold. So I think that'll be a tougher route for those 2 guys who are probably our better pound-for-pound guys that are on the team, but they're going to face some tough competition. Kyle Snyder has a 2 seed. There's no guarantee there because there's unseeded wrestlers there that he's lost to, and he's also been pinned by the 1 seed who's Olympic champ, Abdulrashid Sajulayev of Russia. So things will be interesting at the Olympics. Stevan Micic, NCAA runner-up from Michigan University and former 3-time Indiana high school state champ, is the 1 seed at 57 kilograms at the Olympics, representing Croatia, I believe. Is it Croatia or Serbia? But I'll have to double check that. But yeah, he's wrestled well at Euros and internationally in freestyle, and he's the 1 seed at the Olympics. So that's awesome. Definitely rooting for Micic and hoping for him to have success. And yeah, that's awesome for Micic. But also to wrap that up, a little philosophical matter rather than nudes. Seeds don't matter, guys. Remember, seeds don't matter as far as us competing, coaching, evaluating the sport. Seeds don't matter. They will have to wrestle it out, and plenty of unseeded wrestlers will medal at the Olympics and even win it. Did you hear me? Plenty of unseeded wrestlers will medal at the Olympics and even win it. So don't worry too much about the seeds. I'm just relaying the message. We don't. 5 of our 6 guys are unseeded, but I think we'll be fine. I think we have a good chance to win it. We have a good team. So good luck to USA at the Olympics. All right, we're going to transition into some commits. We're going to go into some high school guys that have committed to college. Cody Chittum, who's the #1 overall wrestler in his class and dominated at who's #1, is committing to Minnesota. Also committing to Minnesota is Gavin Nelson. Nelson is a big man who's looked very dominant lately, and he's looking to help lead this resurgence for Minnesota. with Cody Chittum, and those are two big recruits of the class of 2023, I believe. Yep, and they're gonna help. They're gonna help Minnesota rebuild and fight back for that top 4 trophy spot. Another signing is Christian Carroll. He signs to Illinois. Christian Carroll is an elite prospect. Was the runner-up for the Junior World Team spot, Super 32 champ. Hopefully get to see him wrestle in Indiana this year. See if he can become a high school state champ. But all that aside, he's already signed to a D1 program, and he's going to wrestle at Illinois for Mike Poeta, and that's good for him. Another recruit that committed out of Indiana as well is Zeke Seltzer, and Zeke Seltzer is a 2-time state champ out of Indiana, Indianapolis Cathedral, and he's going to Missouri. So good luck to Zeke at Missouri, Tiger style wrestling. Another commit just coming in recently here is Rylan Rogers, who we saw wrestle at, who's number 1. He's going to Michigan, and he's going to be a Wolverine. So that's awesome for Michigan. They always get top recruits, but it's nice for them to stay at it and still get another blue chipper. All right, some transfer news today. All-American Evan Wick is transferring from Wisconsin to Cal Poly. All right. Next in transfer news, cadet world champion Matt Ramos is looking to find himself in folk style as he transfers from Minnesota to Purdue. It's good for Matt Ramos. He can get in there, work with Schroeder, and maybe after next year, man the 125 spot. But that's interesting there. Next in transfer news, Gage Garcia, 2-sport athlete who was originally at Michigan, who plays football and wrestles. He's going to go to Lehigh, and analysts have said that this should be a good fit for him because he should be able to excel on the football team there, and I would assume he would be able to have the starting spot for wrestling. It's just a matter of if he's going to be a heavyweight or if he's going to be a 197-pounder and what position he's going to play in football. But he should have more success there at Lehigh than he was having at Michigan. And I don't know all the factors into that, but I know that he's going from a great academic university to another great academic university, and he should have more opportunities in football there at Lehigh. So we will see. In other transfer news, as we announced previously months back on this show, Austin Gomez medically retired from wrestling, but he actually made a return at Iowa State to wrestle, and he's going to transfer to Wisconsin. So good luck to Austin Gomez as he heads off to Wisconsin. I think his style fits in well to what they're doing there. He'll be able to practice with the likes of Seth Gross and work with Chris Bono and etc. So I think that'll be good for Austin Gomez. Also in transfer news, if you guys haven't heard it yet, Max Dean left Cornell and he's at Penn State. Right now, I'm guessing the idea is trying to figure out how they're going to work that out with them having a national champ at his weight at 184. So he could go 197 or Brooks could go up, but they have options there at Penn State, which is a good thing to have for Kale and Penn State. They usually do have options. Okay, in further news, let's head to the transfer portal. Joey Silva is entering the transfer portal from Michigan. Looks like he's looking for a new school to head to. Joe Grello is in the transfer portal out of Rutgers. Jacason Burks is in the transfer portal, and he's looking to leave Oklahoma State. Andrew Davison is leaving Michigan. And Chase Singletary is in the transfer portal for Ohio State. Those guys are all pretty good. Those are all guys that could All-American, So these are important pieces on the block for teams that are looking to add some depth or fill some holes in their lineup. I think there's some decent pieces out there in the transfer portal. Definitely. Okay, next in news, some head coaching changes. Rob Cole has left Cornell for Stanford. I repeat, Rob Cole has left Cornell for Stanford. He was there for years, had a lot of success, but he's headed to Stanford. Stanford's program was saved, and they have a great head coach coming from Cornell, and that's Rob Cole. He picks up on his staff as an assistant coach, Dr. Enoch Francois, and two-time NCAA champ Vincenzo Joseph. So an elite staff to come in and develop with. Excited for Stanford wrestling. Representation matters, so I think it's awesome that he has a cultured staff, especially with the Stanford program. And if Fresno program falls out, some of those Hispanic wrestlers from that area can feed in and plug into Stanford with the likes of Vincenzo Joseph, Enoch Francois, and Rob Cole. They should be able to pick up some of those pieces if that program ultimately does drop. And this just got the word about an hour ago. Mike Poeta, who's now the head coach at Illinois, he has added Ed Ruth, multiple-time national champ from Penn State, to his staff as the assistant coach. So he'll be in there working with Christian Carroll in the future and the Bronicles and Mike Poeta. So that's awesome. Once again, that's Illinois adding Ed Roof as the assistant coach on their staff. All right, guys. And that's all for today. This is the Wrestling Matters podcast. I'm your host, Juwan the Don. Just keep it solid, guys.